Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Our lives are online now. We're coming online with everything, with our videos, with our content, with our health records. Our entire life is coming online. If you're an elderly person like myself, and you're looking at Social Security, you can't get Social Security unless you're online. Now, who's better prepared to be online, or worse prepared, I should say, than my 94-year-old mother-in-law who has to process her Social Security benefits, and she doesn't have a computer, let alone an internet account, so she uses a surrogate. And the surrogate may or may not be a family member. In my case, it is. But you get my point, is our life is moving a line. There are going to be 3 billion internet users by 2015, which means, as Sean pointed out in the earlier presentation, there's going to be that digital divide that's still going to occur. And these are going to be individuals who don't have access. But there's going to be approximately 40% of the world's population is going to be online. And as Thomas Friedman said, that flattens everything out. We're going to be able to interconnect. We're going to be able to touch one another. And we're touching one another in manners in which we really didn't want to be touched. And then 13 billion global internet connections. By show of hands, how many of you here, and those of you watching live stream can look around the room and talk to yourself, but how many of you have more than one device with an internet connection? On your person right now, the entire room. Think about that. The number of devices that are going to be talking, we're moving to the Internet of Things. Our things are going to be talking to other things, and they're going to be talking to us. And in doing so, it's going to open up the window of opportunity for somebody to interact with us in a manner in which we didn't expect. The unintended consequence. So, connected, 0600. I asked Chris this the other day, how many people roll out of bed, not even get out of bed and check that smartphone to see what somebody said about me overnight, and then I'll go get a drink of water. And then I'll go take my shower. Well, I see people smiling, so there's more than one person in this room who's guilty of that. And then by noontime, you're connecting with your colleagues, you're connecting with your friends, your classmates, and what have you. Where are we going to have lunch? Let's check Yelp to see what's out there and who's complaining about what, who got poisoned yesterday where, and we're always talking and interacting, and that's the beautiful thing about it. And then comes close of business time, everyone's going to Foursquare, checking in, seeing if they can get a free drink. The insurance companies are looking to see who's getting that free drink and driving. Those people's rates will go up. Foursquare will be happy because they have this big population, but you're interconnecting and you're collaborating and you're doing it all together. And then it's nighttime, and you're there, and you're an insomniac, and you can't sleep. So what do? You go online, and if you're Chris Perella, you turn on your camera, and you're there, and you just start talking to people around the world. I know. But I've been there at midnight. That's how I know this. Or you write the blog, and at midnight or 4 a.m. is when I do my writing. But my point here, ladies and gentlemen, is we are always on. Today, in 2011, our situation is such that our society has moved from a go to work, come home, go to bed, interact at work, interact at specific time periods to we are interacting on a 24/7 basis. And what does that do for us? It creates train wrecks. Why does it create train wrecks? Because no one has decompression time. No one has time to reflect and step back. It takes discipline to step away from the keyboard. Put the iPhone down. I went on a vacation earlier this year, and I literally had no internet connection for 16 days. I stand before you 10 pounds lighter. I went through a severe withdrawal the first day. My wife enjoyed it tremendously because she can take it or leave it, though she does all of the banking online. That's kind of important. But my point being is that if you don't have it all together, you're going to have train wrecks. And train wrecks is what we have in our youth today when we are looking at them as an online environment 24/7. And what I'm going to share with you is a little bit of tragedy, but in the end, I hope to share with you some solutions as well, and that you can all participate in, and your communities can participate in. In 2010, we lost 36 children to online bullying, and they took their lives. Adian, a girl who was more comfortable as a boy, the school authorities were totally supportive of him. However, his friends not so much. Then we had Alexis. She was a popular athlete who landed a soccer scholarship to college. She was harassed on Facebook. And then, has anyone ever heard of Formspring? Formspring is like evil personified, in my opinion. I don't take that as an endorsement, by the way. It is an ability to just slam the hell out of people in a manner in which they cannot defend themselves. This continued after her death. She committed suicide, and her parents were looking at their Facebook page. They put up a memorial Facebook page, and the bullying continued post-death. Asher, he was in 8th grade. He was bullied for being small. He was a Buddhist, and he didn't wear designer clothes. Ashley had 2 intense days of bullying, both physical bullying and online SMS text messaging bullying. The school was told, they said, okay, we'll intervene with the students, but because the messages had not been sent during the school day, it wasn't their issue. Billy got suspended from school for doing something that is natural in a bullying state. He punched him out. But he got suspended. He went home. One classmate noted that the bullies would call Billy gay and tell him to go kill himself. The school said nothing happened at school. He came home, told his mother, and killed himself. Brandon is a straight A student. He played the violin and dressed up in goth. On my website, I have another picture of Brandon. And he's brace face, he's got his glasses on, and his hair is his natural color. Completely different kid. So when he went goth, he kind of looked differently. When he left his family a note, I'm sure when I'm gone, you will find strength not to let this happen to anyone else. That's not a note I would ever want to receive. Brendan, his mother said when she realized something was wrong with her son, that he was becoming the recluse, that he was stepping away from his activities that were his normal after-school activities, in his case, playing video games, she said, I got to get him to medical. So she tried to get appointments with psychiatrists, but they were so far booked out that in the intervening weeks, while they were waiting for their appointment, he killed himself. Brittany was on the dean's list at her college. She was too pretty. Caleb enjoyed spending time with his girlfriend and attending church with her. He was bullied at school for his manner of dress. Cassidy, this young lady just tore my heart apart last year when she put out her note on Facebook, on her Facebook account that said, my time has come and so I'm gone. She was bullied in person and online for days on end, both via Facebook, through SMS messages. It was beyond her ability to cope. This young lady, Selena, her family knew that people teased her about being chubby. But what they didn't know until she passed is that her diary and cell phones were full of vile, the constant stream of insults on her weight, her taste in music, her race. She was 11 years old. Christian was bullied and tormented at school. His father was in the military and deployed. His mother went to the law enforcement and went to the school. I spoke with his mother directly following his death. And she said, I went and did everything I could, but no one would help me. Her son killed himself. Cody was active in the lesbian, gay, bi, transgender community. And because he was active in that community, he was harassed at school. In fact, his family, the school said, and this is the superintendent of schools, and I'm sharing it with you just because it just made me physically ill when I first read it. As soon as it was announced that this young man was gay, that he killed himself, everyone immediately started connecting the dots that weren't there. His mother stepped up and said, "I beg to differ." Corey says he was harassed for being gay. The police said there was no harassment. He was going to school at Oakland University in Michigan. I don't know if any of you have been to that area of Michigan outside of Detroit. It's a pretty tough neighborhood. I've been there. Felix was getting medical help to deal with the bullying he was experiencing. On the day of his death, he had reported to the guidance office asking for assistance and had been turned away. He went home, told his mother, and then killed himself. Harrison's friends told his family he had been bullied at school. The family had no knowledge. Alex, and that is a snake in her hand, was bullied about her continual grief over the accidental death of her sister 2 years prior. For 2 years, people would bully her about get over it. It came to the point where she could no longer cope. The family did not know about the bullying, though her telephone showed evidence that it existed. You see where I'm going. Jamarcus, baseball player, member of the school step team, and gay. He was harassed because he was gay. Then we have Jesse. Jesse was learning disabled. He was bullied and isolated because he couldn't think fast like the others. The school was unaware. John was bullied and harassed, picked up and dumped headfirst into the trash can in the classroom with the teacher present. The school says nothing happened. He came home that day and said, "I can't take it anymore." Jordan, right from here in Washington State, was tormented and bullied. It continued off campus. It was text messages, both harassing and isolating him from others. The school disavowed any knowledge. Jeremy, 14, always bullied about his weight. Justin was gay. Told his mother that bullying wasn't a big deal. Only after he was gone did the family learn the depth of the harassment. His mother provided one of the most egregious. She said the kids would come up to him and grab his privates and say, "You like that, don't you?" Kimberly had been bullied and tormented for months. Her mother noted on the day of her suicide, she had done something she had never done before. She confronted her bullies. And in that confrontation, she was called down to the office and she was suspended. She was sent home. Nothing happened to those that were bullying her. And then the one that just breaks my heart. Montana, 9 years old. He had a lisp. He was bullied because he had a lisp. Then we know the story of Phoebe Prince, South Hadley, Massachusetts, harassed by a group of teens, some of them convicted now of that harassment. And then Raymond, he was bullied because he was gay and studying the culinary arts. I want people to study culinary arts, damn it. And then we have Samantha. She was raped. She made an accusation. People in the school, the students, ganged up on her and saying your accusation was false. The boy was charged. The students kept harassing her. She committed suicide. The charges were dismissed. There's no victim. And then Scott, bullied since third grade, called names such as freak, creeper. And when his parents engaged the school, they were told, tell your son to toughen up. Seth was harassed for both his dress and his manner when announcing himself gay. It just intensified. And then Ty was bullied all year. He's diminutive in stature, as you can tell from the photo. He retaliated. He punished these children for bullying him finally. He too was suspended. He went home. Parents complained. They were told, boys will be boys. And then Zach, college student, went to the city council meeting. The discussion was about whether or not the town was going to recognize lesbian, gay, bi, transgender day. That was the discussion in the council meeting. It was so virulent. It was so angry, he left there and said, I can't live in this city, and killed himself. And then we all know the story of Tyler, unfortunately, who was live streamed in an intimate moment with his friend. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we have to figure out, how do we stop this? So what do each of these children have in common? Each is perceived as different. It's just not being gay. I have a gay son. It's just not being tall. I'm tall. It's just not being short. It's not having a speech impediment. It's being different. And being different seems to give society, both online and off, carte blanche to ostracize and isolate. And that alone is what breaks down the barriers. I do not know a 15-year-old who can cope with a 24/7 barrage of individual and constant interaction with people that are pushing negative messaging upon you, let alone what happens today in crowdsourcing anger. We crowdsource good things, but guess what? There's a double edge to that sword. And so you end up with mob mentality where they pile on these children, and these children don't have the tools to cope. So what are we going to do? Solutions? Ignore it. That's what a lot of schools are telling people. Just ignore it. We don't need to worry about it. It'll go away. Just turn a blind eye, toughen up. Or do we fight back? We've got a couple instances in 2010 where the children finally said, I've had enough. They fought back, were suspended, and realized that they were perceived as the problem, not the victim. We can mandate behavior. Everyone who is gay will go sit over here. You will all be in this room. We're not going to talk to you, or you are going to talk to yourself. That way nobody will bother you. Oh, by the way, all you baseball players go over here. Cheer squad over there. We can segregate our entire community. We can mandate behavior, but that doesn't seem to work, especially when we're heading towards a more collaborative, unified society, where in the United States, last time I looked, we were the land that welcomed all. We were the homogenous country of the world. It's the country I served for 31 years. So I'm certainly offended when somebody says, let's mandate behavior. And then we have the implement technology. The number one question I get from families who have experienced bullying with their either adult children or younger children is, give me the app to protect my kids. The app to protect your kids is right between their ears. That's how we teach them. That's what we must do. Can we legislate? 1 year ago today, all but 9 states had legislation that surrounded online harassment or bullying. They called it many different things. Now, every state in the District of Columbia are pursuing it. In my view, legislation is great. We absolutely need it for egregious acts, such as the young man last year who was being bullied, and his younger brother came to rescue him from 3 kids just pummeling the hell out of him down in Miami. And one of the kids pulled out a gun and shot his brother. Okay, you know what? We need legislation. We need to be able to say, we absolutely failed here, and now we need to go to court. But what we don't need, in my humble opinion, is we don't need the courts telling us how our children are to interact. And that if we have the courts there as the solution, then what we are saying is we failed on the front end and we're going to throw them away on the rear end. I'm a dad, can you tell? But how many more? In 2011, Joseph Mendez, gone. Brittany Tungle, gone. All last year, this is the activity that was going on. There's lots of chatter. There was a summit in Washington, D.C., 2 of them this year. Let's do something. There's a lot of talk. Let's implement laws. Let's do activities that we're going to mandate coasters and posters in school. Kumbaya, and we love each other. It doesn't work that way. So what happens? We continue to lose young men and women, right and left, throughout our country, throughout 2011. It hasn't slowed down from 2010. It continues. None of these solutions appear to work. So I'm going to proffer up something I think will work. Stop thinking anti-bullying and focus on pro-social skills. Focus on trying to teach our young that diversity is empowering, that diversity is good, that this country is based on that diversity, that when we collaborate with one another, we actually become stronger through the synergy that's provided, that we can share knowledge, that being different is not bad, being different is good. And what happens when we do this? When we start focusing on the positive in each other instead of the negative, we eliminate the bullying, we see an improvement in academics, our school is somewhere where kids want to go, and you can go look up the stats because I love people who get up on a stage and just spew. There's a stat that says this, but I'm going to tell you, you go look it up yourself. But more kids miss school from bullying, not the common cold. Student confidence and social adeptness increases. Our teachers are no longer policemen and women. They are teaching. Employers get job-ready candidates. And guess what? Everybody in the community thrives. I kind of like that idea. I kind of like the idea that my first grader is being primed, that everybody in my class has something to value, that by the time they hit the 12th grade, they're saying, I can get out there and rock this world. I can contribute. I can make a difference. So I got a call to action for you. You have children, you encounter children. Help them with their self-esteem. Help them know that they are valuable. Help them know they have a role to play in the society. That even if they do not think they are the most wealthy, they are the most educated, they are coming from the right neighborhood or the wrong, that they all have value. Internet. If you're a parent, if you're in a school, if you're in a community center, know how your children are getting online. Absolutely know it. Ask. Raise your hand. Billy, how do you get online? Well, Dad, you've got the server in the back room that I have a keyboard to. I can do that. I've got the laptop here that's hooked to the wireless here. Oh, by the way, when you take that router down, I can still connect to Mr. Jones' router because Mr. Jones' router is not locked down. And when you take all that away, I go down to the library. And when I'm done with the library, I go over to Mr. Jones' house again because Billy over there is my friend, and they don't supervise because this laptop at Billy's house is up in the bedroom, not in the central location like we have it. Know how your kids are accessing the internet and look. Take a peek at what's going on. I will tell you from personal experience, downloading that SMS log of my son's telephone on a weekly basis while he slept saved his life. And I know it to be true. Why? Because I was able to trace out, just using normal tracing tools on a search engine of your choice, and I identified some of the individuals he was engaging with. And yes, indeed, you are known by the company you keep online. And you are influenced by the company you keep. And it's not espionage to be a parent. You can trust your children. You have to teach them trust. You don't have to be sneaky about it. My boys knew I was looking online. They're now in their mid-20s. They still get a quarterly online report about their reputation. I'm their dad. Engage. Don't expect your children to be able to deal with it by themselves. They're 12 years old. You're 42. You've been run over more times than they've had days. That experience in life has to transcend to them. You have to share with them. You have to talk with them. World of Warcraft is not the babysitter. We need to get in there, talk with our children, teach them how to engage online, teach them how to raise their hand to say, you know what? Somebody approached me inappropriately. It can be online or off. They can't be afraid to approach you. If they're afraid to talk to you, who are they going to talk to? If they're afraid to come to you, who's going to help them? They're your children. They're our community's children. We're all responsible. Hillary Clinton did say it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm telling you, it takes every one of us to raise a generation. Coping. Train wrecks happen all the time. Beautiful new coat, spill coffee on it. Wife looks at you and goes, does everyone know how uncoordinated you are? Absolutely. I can't tell time. Minor things. But when things get intense, how do you cope with it? What do you do? And how do you expect your child to cope with situations as they come to them? So when they share with you, I'm being troubled at school, then use that escalation path that your school wants you to use. But guess what? If that's not working, take the bull by the horns. They're your kids. You only get one shot. Don't blow it. And mistakes. Everybody in the room who's never made a mistake that they don't want anybody else in the room to know about, stand up. My point precisely. And teenagers are taking nude pictures of themselves right and left. It's called sexting. And they're sending it all over. And it's illegal in the United States. The European Union understands this, why they have nude statues in their cities. We don't in ours. But my point here is they get overwhelmed with, quote, community shame because they did something dumb. It might have been Red Sox, Blue Sox Day, or it might have been a nude picture of themselves that they sent their boyfriend, girlfriend, and it got shared beyond. And everyone's saying, oh boy, you're nude. You got to teach them that no matter how bad it seems, guaranteed that sun's coming up tomorrow. And we'll be okay. And we'll get through it. And in 10 years, I know we're all going to be laughing about it. Right now, it is like the most horrific thing that you've ever encountered. That's where that empathy comes in. That's where that self-esteem talk comes in. So that you can help your child understand that we all make mistakes of judgment. And then we learn from them. And then we move along. And sometimes we move slower than other times. Report, confront, and demonstrate. And what I mean by this is, if your child or you know a child that's a recipient of bullying online or off, they have to know how to report it. In Facebook, you have to know how to block, report, and ask for them to be taken down. On Twitter, there are a gazillion bots out there that are just sending vile right and left, and you have to know how to block it and report it. If you're using an application, well-written ones and trashy ones, you have to know what is it taking from you while it's working. Because perhaps it's going to take something from your child's internet stash that nobody wants to see online, and it's going to turn around and be used against them. So know how to report offensive activity. Know how to disengage. Know how to confront the bully in a non-confrontational manner. This is really important. I failed at this all my life. I got 3 pokes at me and then I slugged you. It's just the way it was. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't control my inner temper, if you will. Later on in life, I learned how. And demonstrate. And what I mean by demonstrate is you as a parent, you as the adult in the community, you as the community leaders, all have a role to show what is collegial behavior, what is acceptable behavior, and that we don't have to be demonstrating the worst of society to our children every day. And last but not least, silence, ladies and gentlemen, is not an option. When you see it, get in it. Because silence is nothing more than condoning the action that lies before you. And whether or not you say, well, I can rationalize it away, no, you can't. In the end, somebody's going to hold you accountable. So, what are we going to do? I've got resources. I am a non-paid advisor, so this is pro bono engagements with these two organizations. Stomp Out Bullying is a subgroup of Love Our Children USA. They have a hotline that kids can call if they're being bullied. They've got an online chat. They've got trained people receiving those calls. They've got trained people responding. They've walked children off the ledge already. It paid for itself the very first day with a life saved. Social Smarts. That's a for-profit organization, and they've developed training that talks about let's bring the good and social back in, and their programs cost $6 a student. And as you can imagine, there isn't a school around that's got $6 a head so we can create better citizens. But I listened carefully to Sean, and I have an iPhone, and I have a Flip, and I'm going to be making community videos and YouTube sourcing so I can fund school training for kids using this methodology because it's proven and it works. So I ask you this question. How many are too many? One is too many. So I thank you very much for your time.